Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's live stream. I'm joined by David Richardson. David, welcome.
Good evening, Richard. Well, a pleasure to be with you again.
As you can see, David is the leader of our paramilitary wing. David is our chairman, who happens to be wearing a camouflage hoodie tonight.
Yes.
David, great to have you. Our background's gone black. I don't know where the blue background's gone. No, I do not actually. We'll try and fish that out a bit later. But lots to talk about as ever. Before we go on to that, David, any highlights from today? Any stories to tell us before we jump in?
No, well, I'm trying to think. Yesterday, of course, I put my nomination papers in, which was it's always quite exciting. I had my first experience of that in the general election the last time we all went to the polls. That was 2024, wasn't it? But this time it went quite smoothly. It did necessitate a small phone call to yourself, just for some clarification, because I was a bit worried I was going to have to dash over to Edinburgh to get a letter. But no, that went well, and I went out feeling like we're ready. We're going for it. This is it. The four nominations for the Central and East Lothian region are in, and yes, we're all guns blazing. Yes,
yeah, that's good. That's all of them in now. All of our nomination papers are lodged. Our deposits are paid, and so we're standing. We've got at least 4 candidates in every region, so that job is done. While we're just talking about election arrangements, our leaflet deliveries to Royal Mail are all planned. That's all arranged. The leaflets have been printed. They'll be being delivered between, I don't know, like 10th and 15th of April, somewhere around there. On our party election broadcast, you probably watched it, and that's been delivered soon to the BBC and STV.
Yes, I've had a good reaction as I've sent it to different people, many different people. I've had a really good reaction actually to it. So hopefully the views are mounting up. And I've still got a number of more. I'm just going to go through all my contact lists, which is huge, and just send these even to folks in England. I know that's that they're not directly involved, but
yet
we have got plans, haven't we?
But that's one of the things we're going to look at after the election is the possibility of extending south of the border. But we'll save that till after the election. Lots to do before then. All of you, if you could share the party election broadcast with lots of people, email them or whatever, that would be great. That would be great. We put quite a bit of effort into it. I'm quite pleased with this, the way it's worked out. It's the first time I've ever really done the party election broadcast. All the other elections for the family party, basically other people have done the election broadcast. I've appeared briefly, but I did the whole thing this time. So yeah, let's hope that goes far and wide. But we were slightly concerned that BBC or STV might say, "Oh, not sure you can say that" or whatever. But no, we're approved. The script is approved. The video is approved.
Good.
We're underway. We're underway.
Superb.
Right. Let's jump into some things that have been happening this week. There's always plenty of things happening, isn't there? Let's have a look. A few short things to get us warmed up as usual. I think I've seen this before. It just came up on social media the other day. It is quite a good one, isn't it? Why is bacteria considered life on Mars when a prenatal heartbeat is not considered life on Earth? It's I'd like to hear anyone try and refute that one. That was there. Have you seen that one before, David?
Yes, I have. Stunning logic. Yes, I had a dear friend contact me. He's taking over from Christian Hacking's campaign. I'm not sure if you got my text. I just sent it this evening. Christian Hacking's campaign. He's an abolitionist Christian, but as a on the journey to that, he's got this campaign for the heartbeat bill. So which aligns with that poster there, So Josh McDonald, I can recommend Josh, and I think it'd be great to get him on the live stream at some point.
Yes, So the heartbeat bill, it's a petition, basically. There's a petition system in the House of Commons. If you get a certain number of signatures, then they have to debate something. So they put forward a petition for a bill that would basically ban abortion once a heartbeat is detectable. Not because that's the end point, but that's something that he thought could get quite widespread support. If that happens, then great. I would encourage people from Scotland to sign that, but it wouldn't actually apply to abortion. Is a devolved issue, but you can sign that. Anyway, let's see what else we've got. World of Statistics is an X account that I follow. It's very interesting. All sorts of weird and wonderful facts pop up. And this popped up a couple of days ago. The number of people who oppose same-sex marriage in different countries around the world. So Nigeria, 97%. The UK was down there somewhere near the bottom of the table. 22% oppose same-sex marriage. I thought it might have been. I've seen other statistics a little bit higher than that, maybe into the 30s. So I'm sure there's different ways of asking the question. Anyway, 22%. I thought, well, probably a fair percent of those are going to be Muslims and other people of other faiths as well, but a fair few are not as well. There'll be a fair few Christians in there. And so my message was obvious. So come on, 22%.
Yeah, vote for the Scottish Family Party.
Wow. This. Were you surprised by 22%, David? Is that right? What you'd have thought?
I am. No, that's much higher than I expected. I don't know. You've visited my church a number of times, haven't you, Richard? In the West End, and just opposite on the other side of the road, but further up towards Charing Cross, there's a Methodist church, and that Methodist church, very woke indeed. Anyway, guess what's happened? A Nigerian pastor has taken over and has took the banners down. He's de-woked this particular Methodist church. So Nigeria, 97%, but maybe the Nigerians are coming over here and maybe they're having a blessed effect on our percentage, because he's de-woked that. I'm going to have to, I've just been told about this. So I'm determined to touch base with this chap and shake his hand and thank him for his intervention there. That's absolutely wonderful, because that place, it was just dreadful.
This is the church that had drag queens conducting the service, wasn't it? If I remember right. I saw it on social media. They had a service that was drag queens were playing a part in conducting the service. There. Yes. So okay, that's a breaking news story. We'll look forward to more on that.
I mean, this is just. I have heard he's really rocked the boat. So I'm anticipating he's on the receiving end of quite a bit of woke backlash. But so I want to get in there just to say, well done. You know, we're on your side. You know, if there's anything we can do to encourage you, because that was an eyesore as I drove by that every week. For some reason, I don't know why I bothered. I always looked over and they had some other banner up that was referring to God as he, she, you know, and boy, it's just drives you.
Okay, well, keep us updated on that one.
Yes.
I think issues like same-sex marriage, that the normal thing that happens is they pass. There's a big controversy when they pass. I think when it passed, it was a small majority maybe of the population that approved, but a lot of people didn't approve. But these things, there's controversy, they pass, then they get forgotten about.
Yeah.
We just move on to the next thing. But that's the classic thing with the Conservatives. The same with the Reform as well. They'll drag their heels about the latest thing, but they won't go back and fix it. So we would go back and put that right. Why would we put it right? Basically for the sake of children.
Yeah.
If we allow same-sex marriage, effectively saying that mum and dad bringing the children up, there's nothing special about that. Two men, two women, that's all just the same. Yeah. That can be marriage too. We beg to differ. This is something we put out on social media on Sunday. It's quite maybe a bit more explicitly Christian than we normally go with these things. Woe to those who make unjust laws. Someone quoted that verse to me. I think it's quite reasonable to infer from that verse that you shouldn't vote for them.
Yeah.
If God's saying woe to them, then don't vote for them. The buffer zone law, if that's not an unjust law, I really don't know what is. A law that prevents people from trying to save lives, then that's definitely there. Right, we've got the facts and figures from Liam.
Here we go.
Two-thirds of the Scottish population was opposed when it was forced through. Really? Okay.
Wow.
Right, that's interesting.
Impressive.
Not entirely surprised by that. We've got more. SNP did a consultation, and the feedback was overwhelmingly against. So they did another consultation, got the same results, but forced it through anyway.
Sounds true to form.
Yeah.
Never mind what we think.
We consulted. That's what they say. We consulted. We listened.
We consulted. As if that's significant, but given that the consultation was against them and they didn't take any notice of it, is the consultations? It's a pointless exercise, isn't it? Really, really pointless. I got a lovely message from our friend Matthew in Ayrshire, who you know, Richard, well, and it was a picture of the lineup outside the Queen Elizabeth hospital in Glasgow, the protest against abortion, and wow, this was 100 strong. This lineup outside the buffer zone. But Matthew tells me that they've managed to find an even more prominent position to do their silent, very respectful, very dignified protest. So the abortion buffer zone is actually perversely is actually given them an even better place to sit, not to stand. Yes, this picture, he says 100 folks there, you know, which I thought was absolutely marvelous.
Yeah, that's great. That's the end of vigil thing, isn't it? Yeah, they get a lot.
Yes, they all pull out the stops. Is it?
Yeah. Well, the end of the vigil in Edinburgh's had some, I don't know, 30, maybe over 30 people there sometimes.
Is it?
As well.
Wonderful,
yeah. Right. I've been promising maybe for a week or two to talk about Iran, and I've been doing my thing where I put something in the title and then forget to talk about it. So here we go. I mean, basically, foreign policy. We don't tend to jump into foreign policy things as the Scottish Family Party. We're focused on Scottish elections. We've got more than enough on our plate with that. But I thought I'd just I'll give my tuppence worth, David, and you can tell me what you think about the war in Iran. I think the war in Iran, my take is that it's a just war. I think basically that it wasn't the start of war. Iran's been at war with Israel through its proxies, whatever, for years. So I think it's a just war. My worry is that they are not going to have the will or capacity or to actually carry it through to the only meaningful outcome, which is regime change. But if you just bomb them, I mean, Trump is saying, "Oh, come on, everyone, just rise up again." But they've just killed 40,000 people. So it's a pretty big ask to ask people to take to the streets.
Yeah.
If you want people to rise up, I mean, who's going to rise up? You end up with just whoever's got the most guns getting control. It's hard to imagine them being worse than the current ones. So I think it's quite concerning. I think Trump's, the way he just changes his tune day by day, and he's been very offensive towards Britain recently. It's as though, like, do what I want or I'll call you every name under the sun. If you do what I want, then I'll tell you that you're just amazing. I think it's really, really tiresome. So it's a concerning situation. I think it's not at all clear how it's going to end. I think for Trump, he's so much sold himself on being the president who wouldn't start wars. So quite understandably, his supporter base is fracturing a bit about it. So, I mean, if they, as far as I'm concerned, if they can achieve a change of regime, then surely it would be for the better, maybe far, far better. But whether or not they're going to achieve that, I don't know. So that's my take. What do you think, David?
In one sense, regime change has almost partially been already happened, because the Ayatollah was assassinated, wasn't he? That has brought in someone else, and I know there's a lot of leading figures that were very much involved in that terrible purge of the population. Like you say, tens of thousands, it would seem, perished extraordinarily. And a lot of them that were responsible for that have been dealt with, but they're not at that point where they can say that Iran now is going to change direction. It had to happen. I'm with you, just war, but do they have the wherewithal? I think Israel are huge, as always. It just seems everything revolves around that tiny little country in the center of the world, doesn't it? And they're very determined to because obviously they're on the receiving end of all the Iran's historical nuclear threats. So yes, and he isn't. Trump does go from here to there, with what he says, but I'm afraid he was right when he said about Keir Starmer, he's no Churchill. That really that did strike a chord. It really did.
I think in this case, though, if you're going to, this is not a NATO issue. So if Trump wanted to get people on board for his plans, he needed to talk to them and get them on board for them.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing it and then sort of being really offensive and rude to people. It's just, we shall see.
He's not a politician, is Trump, which is, there's no diplomatic language. He communicates with people through his Truth Social. He doesn't have, he really, the ambassadors of the United States, he almost puts them out of a job because he does all the communicating from social media. It breaks all the rules. So it's a very strange time. The only people that I think that really rub their hands are the media men and women, because you're never short of a story when Trumpy boy is opening his mouth. You never struggle to fill your pages. Goodness me.
I wish the media would stop reporting what Trump says. Because it changes so quickly. Yeah. So you read one headline saying he's threatening to do this, and then that doesn't happen. Then he's saying, it's going to finish in a couple of weeks. Then he's saying, oh no, it's going to go on for months. Then he's saying, we're not going to invade. Then he's saying, no, it's just very, very frustrating.
Yeah.
Anyway, I say basically with the family party, we don't particularly wade into everything, which I think the Scottish Parliament is pretty bad for wading into foreign affairs completely unnecessarily. Okay, fair enough. The SNP, for example, have got MPs at Westminster, but they shouldn't be bringing that up, in the Scottish Parliament, wasting time in the Scottish Parliament on things. So, right, here's a little story, something I saw today online. This is Pete Gregg. Now, maybe some of you have never heard of Pete Gregg. I think I only heard of him relatively recently. He's a big figure in evangelical Christianity, I understand. A very, very big figure. And he was at the National Prayer Breakfast last year, and he gave his talk. I don't remember what he said, but I'm sure it was fair enough. Now, then there was it was all about justice, as the theme of the event was justice. So in the question time, I stuck my hand up and said, what a fantastic theme, justice. How about justice for the unborn? Because they would never talk about any controversial issue at the prayer breakfast. It's very safe and cozy and unchallenging and whatever.
Yes.
So I asked the question. There were 4 in the panel, and Pete Gregg just passed the microphone on. So he didn't want to say anything on the issue. I think it's really appalling.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was showing this today, that he was honoured to be in 10 Downing Street tonight to pray with other faith leaders, with the Prime Minister, who hosted it so warmly. And then let's look at the comments. Well done. That's fantastic. Wow, amazing. Someone put there, if anyone needs praying over, it's there. That got the most thumbs ups. Awesome. How brilliant. God opens doors, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So people really in great excitement. Has managed to go to Downing Street. I just think, do they not realize what politicians do?
Yeah.
You invite people into, it's like it neutralizes them.
Yep.
It stops them being too hard criticizing you, because they're your mates, they've invited you to 10 Downing Street for drinks and canapes, and you feel very important. and you put it on your social media, and everyone says, "Oh, wow, you're hobnobbing with the Prime Minister. Wow, well, that's really amazing what you're doing." Whereas what's really happening is the Prime Minister, to a large extent, is neutralizing him, and he is communicating to the Prime Minister, "Hey, don't worry, we think you're all right, and we're happy to just come and have a cozy drink and an innocuous little chat," and that's what Christians are all about. So I think that's a real temptation to get drawn into the corridors of power, sort of patted on the head, have your hand shaken, and I think it neutralizes a lot of Christians. I mean, Keir Starmer is very unpopular for lots of reasons, but some of the reasons are matters that Christians should be straightforwardly outraged about.
Oh yeah,
be really taking him to task.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that one, David?
Well, if I was invited by Keir Starmer to Downing Street for a time of prayer, I would be insulted. It would be the biggest insult of my life, because he obviously doesn't know what I stand for. He obviously thinks I'll just go there and be bland, vanilla Christianity, if you like. And he obviously thinks I can be bought. And he obviously thinks he can use me and my Christian profession to win a few votes from Christians. That fella, Pete, he's just a stepping stone. And Keir Starmer's just using him to stand on to reach people to get votes. And he doesn't want the pointed questions. It just would be a terrible insult. If Keir Starmer invited you, Richard, down, either one or two things has happened. He's either had a Damascus Road experience, and like he's gone from killing Christians to standing for the Lord all overnight, or you have compromised horribly, and word's got to Keir Starmer, and he wants to bring you down and parade you as a trophy of ineffectiveness and blandness and just.
I would say, maybe slightly. I think if he did invite me, let's say the invitation arrived tomorrow, or to the First Minister or to Bute House or whatever. I mean, let's say it happened. I mean, it never would. Let's say it did. I think I would go, and I think maybe even I wouldn't even necessarily bring anything up controversial at that meeting, even. But my long-term goal would be that I very much am, and that's not going to take long before I'm doing that. So if maybe that results in the opportunity to go into some other sort of meeting or group or whatever, but I'll be there to say something and to challenge about various
and because
things.
of that, you'll never get invited. You'll never. You're too risky. You're too mouthy. Look, John the Baptist wasn't invited by Herod. He was put in jail by Herod. That's the nearest you'll get to 10 Downing Street is a jail, wherever the nearest jail is nearby. It's an insult. You do not want folks like Keir Starmer putting their arm around your shoulder and saying, "Come this way." It's like the spider saying to the fly, "Come into my web." It's
very seductive. I think people feel so honored to be meeting national leaders, that can sort of overwhelm the real issues. I've got another issue. I haven't got this scheduled to talk about, but why don't we talk about this with Toshiba?
Oh boy,
I'll go first on this one. Muslim Fair President Trafalgar Square. My first thought is, well, okay, Christians do mass events. Other religions do mass events. I mean, anyone, if you want to get lots of people together in a public square, can do that. If you were any group under the sun and you wanted to have some sort of mass event in George Square in Glasgow, assuming it wasn't closed for refurbishment, then you could do it. Or in front of the Parliament or whatever, you'd be allowed to do it. And so that's my first thought. So from that point of view, I think freedom of religion, then fine. Now, people say that there's more to it than that. I think it's a show of strength or whatever. I would say, but is that not what virtually a lot of other similar events would be? I if the family party, if we had an event in George Square, we have events, varying numbers of people. If we thought we could get, 1,000 people in George Square, we'd do it. And it absolutely would be a show of strength. Well, you could call it a show of strength, or you could say it's a demonstration of strength of opinion, or a number of people who are sharing that view. So my feeling was, okay, I would rather everyone be Christians. Muslims would prefer everyone be Muslims. So from that point of view, it doesn't warm my heart to see a lot of Muslims, the same as, say, if they saw Christians, they would think the same way. But to me, it wasn't an issue where I think, this is something we need to do something about. I think the danger can be getting into the mindset of, we're worried about Islam. We've got some objections, concerns about Islam. So we have to object to everything to do with Islam.
Yes.
To planning permission for the mosque, to praying in Trafalgar Square, just everything. We've got to object to everything. But I tend to think with this one, I wasn't particularly wanting to object. It's just, religious freedom. People want, okay, you can say fair enough, we don't want it every week or whatever, but yeah, that's my take. What did you think, David?
Well, it's a sign of the times. I think that's what's most disturbing about it. Like you, I'm for free speech, freedom of religion, but my word, does it not tell us that Islam, political Islam, don't get me wrong, I know some charming, some wonderful Muslims that I count as very dear friends, but political Islam is a nightmare. It really is. There's so many aspects to it, but would fill our time several times over. So it strikes fear in my heart. It really does. And then, of course, you have all these massive demonstrations pro Gaza. I mean, right now in Nigeria, Christians are being slaughtered. Where are all these university folks out on the streets marching for Christians in Nigeria? Where's the care and the concern over that? So I really do resent the political Islam, and I think that's a grave danger that these mass times of prayer in Trafalgar Square are the edge of probe a bit deeper, and it all does become very sinister indeed, is my thoughts.
I would say people praying is not necessarily political. And I mean, let's say there's 1,000 people there. They'll each have their own opinion about what they'd want to see. Some of them would maybe be pretty, don't take their faith particularly seriously. This is like going to the carol service at a Christmas for them. Yeah, I don't know. There'd be a whole variety. So I wouldn't see it as a political thing. I think overall. Sure, go.
So I'm going to just say, the face of it. If you probe a bit deeper, you'll soon find the political side, which is very sinister indeed. That's my thought. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
Okay. I think people like, take say Anna Sawa. I'd love to have a conversation with someone like that to try and really get to grips with what he really believes.
Yes,
be fascinating. But so much chipping in here. We have our own oil. We're going to get onto that in a minute. We're heading for that. Heading for that issue before too long.
Yes.
Right, we're done with that. There's another little snippet. Every now and again, we get this sort of thing from SNP supporters. So this is replying to me. Why do we have so many white colonizers trying to run parties in Scotland? Remember the English revulsion over Scottish MPs voting over English issues. Now, I think most, I'm sure I'm confident to say most Scottish independent supporters are not of this mindset, but there's a very substantial proportion that are. I think the SNP knows it. The SNP itself, in its public pronouncements, works really hard to avoid this sort of thing, but they know it's a big element of their support. And I think they should go out of the way more, out on a limb more to challenge it. but I think it's it's quite strong in the independence movement more widely, and it is. Yeah,
It is.
It's pretty unpleasant.
Well,
But this
it
is the
is.
same SNP who would welcome you from anywhere. And if you arrive from any nation on earth to Scotland, you'd have a special place. They'd have an accelerated program to get you in the Parliament as an MSP. And they'd think it was extra special and wonderful that you were here in Scotland. But English, well, that's a different matter.
Absolutely. It's the acceptable form of racism, which is encouraged by the Scottish National Party. I was at I tell you how this really goes right into the blood and guts of Scotland, and the SNP play on it something awful. I was at a football match a number of years ago. I took the three of my children along, and it was a rubbish match. Scotland lost 1-0 to Denmark. It was a friendly game. Scotland against Denmark. At half time, they all started singing "Stand Up If You Hate England." And here am I, English, bringing my three Scottish kids along to watch this game. And I know it was done a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but you ought to have heard how the gusto, how they sung it. It was "Stand Up If You Hate England," and I just thought to myself, I wonder if they started singing "Stand Up If You Hate Pakistan," or "Stand Up If You Hate India," everyone be just still thinking, "Oh, that's okay," that's just the banter, of the terraces. Now this is very real indeed, and it's played on. They make hay out of it. The SNP to win their votes.
I wouldn't say the SNP encourages it. I think they maybe don't challenge it enough, because I think the SNP's spokespeople. Okay, you could say it's a dog whistle, and everyone knows what they mean when they talk about Westminster. I would say it's not open, but it's very widespread when they're supposed to. Just while we're on the topic of football, I'll maybe some people watching can chip in and educate me a bit more on this. I've been learning a bit about the trend towards the ultras. Are you familiar with that phenomenon, David?
The ultras, the Green Brigade, and many others. Yeah.
So they're these sort of fanatical football fans who make big banners and set off pyrotechnics in the football stadiums that they're not allowed to do, wearing masks, etc. And it started with the big clubs. It's very prevalent in Europe. I think apparently not so much in England, but now it's spreading to really small clubs. So you've got clubs, they've just got a couple of dozen blokes there to watch the game. But then there's a crowd of 13-year-old boys with pyrotechnics and masks on and things and drums, making banners and do the ultra things at the other end of the tiny little, well, not even a stadium, the other end of the pitch. I think it's quite curious that there's a very minor league football club very close to where I live. And I've heard the drumming sometimes. And I watched the BBC documentary about this ultra culture, and I did a bit of research online. There's some video of the little group of ultras at my local club. Again, they're just kids, maybe about 12 or 13 years old. So part of me thinks, okay, fair enough, get a drum, make some noise, cheer, jump up and down, and okay, the pyrotechnics are probably not allowed, but sort of good, clean fun in a sense as well, But I think it does go with vandalism, violence, and that does seem to be on the up in Scotland. We talked about this a bit last week, didn't we? So the Union Bears as well, and then Motherwell's got quite a gang. So then the basic phenomenon seems sort of quite positive. I guess my experience from teaching in a boys' school is if you get a big crowd together and they start getting a bit worked up and getting a bit excited about something, then it often goes wrong. There's not the, I don't know, collective conscience or moral leadership or something. And it ends up heading towards trouble one way or another.
Big trouble.
So I guess it's because I guess here's my new thought for what it's worth. I mean, why is this happening? It's a Europe-wide trend, But also, we've got kids coming through now who've been through school and haven't been taught that no is no, and you have to behave yourselves. They've grown up a bit unrestrained and wild.
Yep, no boundaries.
And now it's hitting the streets and hitting the football stadiums. So interesting.
Their commitment to the cause, some of these football supporters. There was a game not long ago, it made big headlines. Carlisle versus Plymouth. So if you know your geography, that's one end of England to the other end of England. It was a Tuesday night. It was an away game for Carlisle, and a bookies company decided to reward the commitment of 3 busloads of supporters. They started their journey late morning on the Tuesday. They arrived just before the game. They watched the game. They get back on the coach. It's a further 8 hours. And for a number of them, they went straight from that game, from that journey back from the game to work. That's ultra, isn't it? That's serious.
Yeah, well, they went to their place of work. They might not have gone to work.
Well, here's the scoreline, right? I looked up the scoreline just out of interest on the Wednesday. Thought, I wonder what the score was. Plymouth 4, Carlisle 1. So they did all of that to get absolutely spanked, and they'll do it again next week. It's incredible, the commitment. And I often say, if only I had Christians of that kind of number who was passionate about God and about the cause of the Word of God as they are about their football team. Then we'd be onto something. Wow.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see how this is going to develop in Scottish football. I think it's still growing. It still seems to be on the up. I know Rangers and Celtic have had it for a long time, but this spread into lots more clubs. Let's watch this space. Right. And moving on. I made a quick video about this. You might have seen it. The Scottish Parliament banned greyhound racing. I think it was just this month, earlier on this month. They got a bill through banning greyhound racing in Scotland, even though it actually doesn't exist. The last greyhound racing facility had closed some time ago. So they spent all this parliamentary time on it. So I made a video saying the Scottish Family Party policy is to ban bear baiting. I mean, it doesn't happen. It hasn't happened for probably for centuries. But we can show we're really nice people. They're very caring for animals by banning bear baiting. I think it's just classic Scottish Parliament. That is absolutely classic. But on the subject of the Scottish Parliament, sorry, go.
Sorry, I was going to say they're trying to squeeze in all of this legislation and all of this this time, and they're debating silly things like that. It's just
yeah. I've listened to quite a few interviews of MSPs who are standing down from the Parliament. Been very interested. So they're quite unguarded. Some of them, they may be even they're standing for election, but maybe they're thinking they haven't got much chance. And the general feeling, it was very negative. There was no one really saying, that's been a good term in the Parliament. I think we've got lots done. Even the SNP ones were saying, we haven't got much done. There's been people saying it's a horrible atmosphere in the Parliament, real just tribal hostility between the parties. Whereas previously there might have been if it's out of the limelight, you're in a committee trying to work out how to run the health service, you feel like you're just, trying to work out how to do the best job. But now everything's become a party battle. And they're just saying it's very, very unpleasant. The other thing a few were saying, including for the SNP, is really the game is up with overspending. They really are at the end of the road. And in the next Parliament, it's going to be very tough. Like taxes have got to go up, or there's got to be huge, huge cuts in public services. So I say very, very negative overall from that. It was quite an eye-opener. But I don't know why things have gone so sour. Part of the reason I thought might be, the Scottish Conservatives used to be really ineffectual. They would just go with the flow, really weak. With Douglas Ross, maybe a bit less so. With Russell Finlay, they've been a bit more combative. I sometimes feel he's sometimes a bit over combative. Don't know. Some people might say that's the pot calling the kettle black. I don't know. Maybe that's what's contributed. But I think Labour and the SNP, I don't know if it's an exaggeration to say they hate each other, but they're very, very hostile to each other. So it's as though the whole parliament, relationships in the whole parliament, just at a pretty low ebb.
Yes.
So
it's quite surprising because John Swinney is a boring fellow, isn't he? There's just so you would expect he would be a constant theme of mediocrity and apathy, and he just doesn't give you any kind of. But having said that, you're right that it has been quite toxic, and maybe it's been so intense. I've listened to that myself. Folks are leaving, and they don't seem to be leaving with any kind of tremendous regret.
No. I mean, so some of them were saying that yes, it has actually been a bit better since we've had John Swinney, John Swinney and Kate Forbes. That's been a bit better, but it's still dire. I mean, maybe the damage was done in the Sturgeon and Yousaf era. Which it would be, because Nicola Sturgeon was very hardline and very hostile and dismissive and aggressive towards anyone who disagreed with her. Very, very.
You can't underestimate the Greens, the effect they had as well. They were desperately dark days. They were. I mean, where were we headed with the Greens at the helm? The way they were.
Where are we headed after the election?
Well,
see, banning keel hauling. That's a good idea. Yeah, that'll show we're good to animals and to people. Will be the ultimate.
Someone, you need to help me here. Keel hauling.
Keel hauling. It's the punishment used to be used in the Royal Navy, where you take someone and tie a rope to them, or tie 2 ropes to them. Then you pass one of the ropes under the ship, and you pull the person underneath the ship by the rope. So they go under one side, and then you pull them up on the other side, or maybe one end to the other of the ship. So basically, you almost drown them and then pull them out, and then they don't steal another apple from the apple barrel or something. That was the sort of idea.
Oh, well, I've been educated. So
that'd be a bit like banning greyhound racing, because we've hardly got a navy at the moment.
No.
They don't do keel hauling, but we've hardly got a navy either. So.
I pass that Shawfield Stadium regularly, and it is in a huge state of disrepair. I mean, I don't know what it's going to become, because it just is. It's just an eyesore. It really is. It's falling apart.
Right. Quick reminder of a few events. Hustings, I mentioned this one before. 24th of April. That's in Cope Bridge. Do come on to that one. And then the other one to mention is on the 22nd of April in Edinburgh. There's a sort of bioethics, life issues hustings in the Eric Liddell Centre. Wednesday, the 22nd of Edinburgh. Don't miss it. That's going to be very, very interesting indeed. And also, come along to our campaign launch if you can. A week on Saturday, hotel in Glasgow. We're going to hear from lots of our candidates. I think we've got about 10 people lined up to speak for like a minute or 2 each. We're going to be lots of people speaking for very short lengths of time. And we're in the afternoon, we're going to head into Buchanan Street or whatever, take the PA system, take something to stand on, and just talk and invite people to ask questions and see what happens. We've never done it before, but you don't know if you don't try.
No.
So, I mean, it's the street preachers there all the time in Glasgow, isn't there? So what will happen if we go as the family party and do that? I've got no idea. There's probably quite a random element. You can maybe go one day and you end up with a bit of a crowd. Maybe you go another day and you end up with someone screaming abuse at you. Then you go another day and you find yourself just standing there talking to yourself and everyone just walks past. So it's probably a bit random, but we shall see. Bandodo hunting. Wow. Our manifesto is getting longer by the minute here. I think that's an excellent one. Yeah, they're very vulnerable. Very vulnerable, the dodos. Yep, so campaign launch. It'd be great to see you there. So it's arrived 10:30. There's a cup of tea, refreshments, And then it actually kicks off at 11, but we want everyone there before 11 because we'll be filming from 11 to 12, basically. And then finishing 12:30. Right. Right, a bit of business as usual from the Scottish government. The SNP and Labour are competing with each other to provide more childcare for children. Again, because obviously they know parents want their children to be away from them for as long as possible so they can get off and do something more useful. But they both campaign as though this is just obvious, that you just want to offer more childcare to families. And I can't find the other one. What was the other one I got? There's something else on that theme as well. We'll maybe come back to that later. But apparently research shows that they're missing the mark on this. The families actually are not clamoring for that more childcare. What they would really like is to be able to spend more time with their own children.
Yeah.
But the parties don't seem to latch on to that.
No.
Leaving us a gap in the market. So.
They certainly are.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Right, this is the other thing I was going to say. Scottish government sponsored. So here we are, middle of an election campaign. The Scottish government spending money to advertise SNP policies. I mean, that is an election advert, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we paid for it. And the classic SNP, they haven't, how would you word it? They haven't got the proper sense of what's right and wrong, basically. The government should not be promoting the SNP's policies to the electorate on social media during an election campaign. Not sure they should ever be doing it. But during an election campaign, I mean, is corruption too strong a word?
I don't think it is. No. But I'm amazed that they're missing this, like you say, gap where parents, particularly mothers, just yearn. They want this. They want this so badly, to be able to stay with their children. Not all of them, of course, but the freedom to be able to make that choice is and the benefit to the children themselves, because who's best to look after the children? Mum, of course. Mum, dad, the parents, that's the best way the best person to bring those children up, and but no, they're driving the ship in the opposite direction here, aren't they?
Yeah. Got a quick question for you here. Maybe take you a while to do the calculation.
Well, so I do have an up-to-date figure. Yeah, so it is now 17. We've had another arrival. Thank you very much, John. That's very, very kind of you to say that. Yes, 17 now. Elizabeth Margaret has arrived. The cutest, the most lovable darling, she really is. And and Johnny, who probably John knows my son Johnny. He's Jonathan. Is his Sunday name. He's on the nest with his dear wife Taylor. So number 18 is imminent in June. So I'll keep you abreast of that. But and this is the kicker. That will be 18 under the age of 8. So it's I don't know if you probably John will remember this particular branch, which we use as rhyming slang. It is radio rental. Absolutely mental. But there you go. Do you remember radio rental? Do you, Richard?
Vaguely. Yeah. Right, Duncan, I love Christendom. Now, there's an interesting topic. We won't talk about it tonight. I've been doing a lot of thinking about the whole Christendom, Christian nationalism thing. In fact, I recorded an interview with someone the other day that I'm not going to publish till after the election, because it's not really election campaign material, with Jamie Bambrick. I don't know if any of you watch Jamie Bambrick on YouTube. So, yeah, I'm thinking a lot about these things, but more to come after the election.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Right, this is a classic bit of media stuff. Having children doesn't make you happy. Becoming a parent provides no boost to well-being, study claims, but it does ruin your relationship. I mean, absolute total junk.
Rubbish.
But the reason I wanted, this is just normal. You get the stuff from the BBC routinely. You get it from the media. But the reason I wanted to draw attention to this is the Daily Mail. It's like we've got no friends. I don't mean the family party. I mean social conservatism. We've got no consistent friends. You might think, oh, the Daily Mail, surely they would be on that sort of wavelength.
Yeah.
The Daily Telegraph, surely. No. They are sometimes, but other times they'll publish things like this. Really. So now, where did I hear recently? Some country had made it illegal to be negative about parenthood. What nation was it? Was it Russia?
Really?
No, I don't think it was Russia. I think it was a more mainstream country.
That does seem to be almost criminalizing your thoughts. That does, but I get it. I completely get it.
Or was it India or China? Might have been India. I'm not suggesting we take up that policy, but
no.
Certainly we need to do everything we can to pull in the opposite direction. But
the joy of children. Oh, it's just unbelievable.
Right then. I said we'd get to oil, didn't I? So here we are.
Oh, here we go.
Oil. Right,
oil
9 minutes. I'm just checking the titles. I've got George Galloway and Trans-Day of Visibility. I'll make sure I get to this. So Labour and the SNP are having a big public squabble in the election campaign about whose fault it is about the situation with the decline of the oil industry. And I find it so frustrating because anyone who knows anything about the political issue will know that Labour Party has been net zero fanatical, and they've been happy to sacrifice oil and gas industry. Absolutely, that's their policy. We also know the SNP exactly the same. They've been attacking the oil and gas industry, saying reducing carbon emissions is more important. We're just going to basically wind this industry down. And now they're both blaming each other for the job losses and the problems. It's like they're gambling on the ignorance of the electorate. It's so frustrating. I mean, you've got the SNP saying Westminster squandered Scotland's oil wealth because they didn't put it in a sovereign wealth fund. I mean, when's the SNP ever saved a penny? When's the SNP ever shown the slightest inclination to be a party that says, okay, let's just put a bit aside and build up some wealth and think long term? When have they ever that thought ever even crossed their mind? And the answer is never. They borrow as much as they can every year. I mean, is anyone taken in by this? You've got to assume that they are, or they wouldn't do it. But it's really pretty dire what's going on. There's just no honesty in it. If they're honest, Labour and the SNP would say, yes, this is what is our policy. Maybe we now realise that was a bad move. We need energy security. We need cheap energy. This doesn't make any sense. We need to get drilling again. But they just go hammering his tongues at each other without any reality or honesty in it. So, anything to add there, David?
Well, they've sunk their own ship, haven't they? You know, with this net zero nonsense. They've taken this mantra of trying to help the environment, and because of that, they've turned their back on this wealth. So it's not been squandered. It's been wasted by years of this whole environmental nonsense. You know, so they've and yet they tried to twist it round. That's extraordinary, isn't it? The way they twist it round and again, it's Westminster. And I'll tell you what Westminster's short for: that English mob. It's another have a go at them because that will win some votes. You know, anything you can point the finger at England, even if it's horrible lies. You know, they can twist it, and folks are so naive, they're so taken in that they think, oh, we'll just it must be that.
Yeah, Labour just the same. Labour just the same.
Yeah, just the same. Yeah.
This is John Swinney. You see, Labour are hammering energy jobs. It's all Labour's fault. SNP's. Right. Anyway, right. Let's get through the things in the title. Trans Day of Visibility. I have to say, these things are becoming less prominent, it seems to me. But this is the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service putting this on their social media. So still, what are they doing? What are they thinking?
Yeah.
Putting that on. So I commented on their social media just saying you shouldn't take a side in a public controversy, which should be blindingly obvious to them. I do think it's in retreat, this sort of thing. In general, I think it is toning down a little bit.
It is.
But still.
The Olympics decision was quite big this in the last few days.
The what, sorry?
The Olympics decision.
Yes. Yeah.
That was very high profile and very well reported on. And again, I think that's a huge brick in the wall that's being built now, rebuilt to make it quite clear what the difference is between the genders, and they are separate. You know.
The other biggie, I think, was the guides. I was staggered. The guides have said boys have got till the end of September to get out.
September.
That's quite staggering. So I was at by coincidence, I was at a transgender protest thing, just observing at the Parliament on Saturday afternoon. I made a little video about it. I think it's going live tomorrow night. And there was a big banner people had made saying, we're trans inclusive guides. So some people in the guides are up in arms that they're not going to be letting boys in anymore. But it's because the guides have been very, very politicized for a long time. So for them to do it, quite a step. Then with all these things, though, it's all good news. But ultimately, until the Gender Recognition Act gets repealed, it's just the peripheral issues.
And who's the only party who will do that? I wonder. I'll leave that hanging there.
In the Scottish election, yep. The company's still at it as well. It's interesting. I remember years ago when one of our previous chairmen said, look, on this gender recognition stuff, why don't we actually make it our policy to just repeal the whole thing? Instead of just opposing the reform, just repeal the whole thing. And I remember thinking at the time, oh, right, that sounds a bit much. Is that a bit too drastic? It's one of the best decisions we've ever made. I mean, looking back, I mean, why ever did I have the slightest hesitation about that? It's so obvious. Right, but let's go and find George Galloway.
Oh, there he is. George.
This is interesting. Reform in the Highlands. Stephen Welsh used to be in the Family Party. He used to be in the Labour Party. He joined the Family Party because the Labour Party wasn't pro-life. But then he joined Reform because, well, I don't know. Anyway, so Malcolm Offord was interviewed by the media and they gave him a hard time because they'd got a candidate who had been in the Family Party, which is anti-abortion, and has been accused of having links to the extreme right. I mean, that's just bonkers. I mean, it sort of didn't mean anything. I could accuse anyone of anything, and you could then report they've been accused of it. But there's links to the extreme right. Do they really believe that? Does the bloke writing this really believe that? Because it's mad. On most of the metrics where you'd normally describe a party as being right wing or extreme right or far right, Reform would probably be outdoing us on those, but certainly in the way they talk about them. So that's a total fiction still circulates there. Yeah, so the Reform leader has been challenged that one of his candidates used to be associated with the Family Party.
I didn't know about this. That's funny. I'm still in touch with Stephen now and again, so yes.
Right, the last thing, just before we wind up. George Galloway and his party, the Workers' Party or something. So the last Scottish election, he founded and led Alliance for Unity, which was a unionist party, more or less single issue unionist party. And that was his main thing in 2021. His party is a nationalist party. So he's campaigning for Scottish independence. I mean, can anyone take that seriously?
He's an opportunist.
That's what he is. I mean, has he changed his mind, or does he just think, right, this is where the chance is? Because Albro disappeared. Maybe he's thinking Albro disappeared. This has made a bit of a gap. I don't know. It's that seems a bit of a stretch to me, to be changing your mind from being single issue union to not far off single issue independence in 5 years is quite a rapid political journey, I would say. So, right, that is 10 o'clock. Thank you very much, David, for coming and joining us. Going back to the firing range now with our paramilitary wing.
Yes, got to keep my practice just in case civil war breaks out. I'll be ready.
Yeah, ready for our next operation.
Build my bunker.
Yeah. Right. Thanks for watching, everyone, live and later, and see you next week.
Thank you.